we're joined by, personally, my favourite ever Bury player, the guy that I wanted to be in the playground when I was a kid, and Northern Ireland, and in my book, it doesn't get any better than that. The one and only Mr. Derek Spence. Good evening, Derek.
Good evening, Morris. Hey, I bet you wanted my blonde hair too.
It wasn't easy being Irish and ginger over here.
Oh, you like that?
It's absolutely. Oh,
well, last time I was in Bury, one of the lads gave me it, and I said, next time I'm on, I'll wear it for you.
Very
there it is. And I'm going to take it off because I'm sat in the conservatory, bloody roasting. I've got the log burner on, steaming. Come on.
Right, so Derek, you joined Bury from Oldham in 1972 after
73.
So was it 73? I thought it was 72.
73, 14th of February.
Right. So how did that move come about?
Well, I have an awful lot to thank Alan Brown for. Now, Alan Brown obviously was a centre forward in the old school, right? And he obviously seen in me a little bit of him, right? So I was very lucky. And he must have watched me play at Oldham Reserves, played a few first team games, and I got a phone call one day, obviously just snow on the ground as normal in Oldham. And cold day, and they said, Bury would like you to go on loan. And I had a little white mini with a black top. And I said, oh, great, because who wouldn't want to go from being in reserves, you know, been there 3 years, probably needed to move on and to go to Bury. So I got in my car, drove over to see Mr. Allen and Alan Brown, and we sat down, and it was so funny because Alan Brown said, we'd like you to come till the end of the season. And as soon as he got the words out of his mouth, Billy Allen went, no, well, we're going to sign him now. Let's have him till for a couple of years. So I was absolutely delighted. And the terms were obviously brilliant, you know, because it was on about 20 quid at Oldham. And I think they doubled it at Bury. So to be given the opportunity was wonderful. And obviously to join some of the players that I was joining. Don't forget, Terry McDermott had made a big name for himself. And he was leaving and I was coming in. Obviously not to replace his shoes because he was midfield. But it was really exciting times for me. And to join some of the players I played with, Morris. Jimmy Robson, oh my God, played and scored in the cup final. Jimmy Nicholson came along, and he was an Irish international and a Busby babe. John Kennelly, who I think, I may be wrong, I think he got a World Cup medal.
He did win a World Cup winner's medal. Yeah.
Peter Swan, oh my God, Peter Swan could have been the captain of England in the 66 World Cup because he was in the England team. And I'm not sure what the circumstances are when he actually went out of the England team, but he could have been in that squad. He was, but just what proves is he was good enough. He was in Bobby Moore's place, and Bobby Moore obviously replaced him. So to play with them guys was an absolute privilege. And I was only a young man. I'd done 3 seasons in the Cheshire League, played a couple of games for Oldham Athletic. And if I'm being truthful, I scored 20-odd goals every season, yeah. Had I been given the chance in the first team, a bit of a run, I would have undoubtedly scored goals, but I never got it. And I don't know why, you know. But that was Bury's luck. But it was also good management by Alan Brown. And, you know, when you join a club, it's always good to get off to a flying start. And I do believe it took me a couple of games maybe, but I think I scored a couple of goals down at Cambridge. But then the big game came at Gig Lane, and we're playing top of the league, Hereford United, who were miles ahead of everybody else in the league. And we trounced them 2-0. I mean, that must have knackered everybody's pools up. And I scored. If I'm being honest, I scored a smashing header, right? Great header. But I scored an overhead kick that's never been repeated. You only get one of them in your lifetime. And it was at that match. And would you believe it? I always said, God, I'd love a picture of that. And my sister sent me some cuttings that my dad had had up in the attic. And she sent me them. And there's the blooming picture in the Bolton, I think it was called the Buff.
Yes.
There's the picture of me scoring this goal, overhead kick.
Fabulous.
Can't believe it. Absolutely wonderful. So I have a lot to thank Alan Brown and Billy Allen and the Bury public for taking me and into their hearts. And I had a fantastic time at Bury. Fantastic.
You played 140 games in your spells there, and 44 goals.
Well, that's 1 in 3 nearly, isn't it? That's good.
It is nearly 1 in 3.
I didn't take penalties, Morris.
No.
I took one for Bury. Sorry, Morris. I took one for Bury and missed it.
that's why you didn't get to take anymore.
No, I missed it. The keeper made a great save, but I was never a penalty taker. You know, I think people are born to take penalties, and it certainly I don't think I was. You know, if I'm being honest.
So out of those 44 goals, apart from the overhead kick against Hereford,
yes.
Which do you think? Which other goals stick in your mind?
Well, there's only one, basically. I can remember a lot of goals that I've scored, but the one that was unbelievable was when I think we played Barnsley.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
And I was down on the left-hand side, which sometimes I seem to favour for some reason, and took the ball off somebody, cut inside, you know, just had thought I'm going to try it, and I beat a couple of players. And a lad called Howarth was in the box. I played a 1-2 with him, right? And he gave me it back. And then I just smashed it. And it went right into the top corner. And I have to say, I wish I had it on video.
Yeah, it's just a shame that in those days we didn't have that.
Absolutely. It would have made me that. But you know what? It's about memories too, and sometimes them memories even exaggerate it. Maybe it was even better than I thought.
I think that's probably one of the top 3 goals I've ever seen in 50 years of watching. It certainly sticks in my mind.
Wow, that'll do me, Morris. I'll tell you what. To have left that impression on yourself and other people who were there on that day. It's a magnificent feeling, you know, it really is. And, you know, I'll have to tell you this. When I played in the Cheshire League for them 3 seasons, right, I scored some, what I would call unbelievable goals. I just wish it had been in the league because I was not afraid to take people on. I remember actually scoring at Burscough. It sounds stupid, this, but I beat about 3 on the halfway line, knocked it past the centre half, got the ball, clean through, rounded the keeper and put it in the net. It was like something George Best would do, but it was something that you would do in training or you would do it in street football as a kid. And I think from 18 to 21, 22, I was still playing street football. If I'm being honest, I never listened to any tactics any manager ever told me. And I think the managers realised that because I used to go out and do my own thing. And if it came off, great. Sometimes it came off, it was wonderful. Other times it didn't, and you look a fool. But, you know, that was me. And I'm still the same now. I don't like tactics. I think it's over-exaggerated. All these pundits who sit and talk about and analyse the game, a lot of it's bullshit. There you go. Sorry, did I swear there? Yeah.
It's all right.
Sorry about that, Morris.
One of the things that I remember most about your time in Bury was when you got your first call up to the Northern Ireland squad to play Yugoslavia.
Oh.
How did that make you feel?
Oh my God! To go back to Northern Ireland after 5 years, I hadn't been back many times, and only in the summer, and it was quite emotional. Seeing all the barricades, seeing the British Army, and all the security that was around us when we arrived, which stayed at the Chimney Corner Hotel, and the Dunodry, tell a lie, Dunodry Hotel, which is near the airport, as you know.
Yeah.
And we had to travel into Belfast, and oh my God, when we actually were going to play the game, it was a Sunday afternoon, no drinking, there was nobody allowed to drink, and it was packed. The streets were packed. We were coming. The people were, because we hadn't played for about 5 years. The national team hadn't been there. So I'm sat there thinking, oh my God, I'm going to play for the national team at Windsor Park in front of, I think there was over 40,000. They were everywhere. And I actually worked 5 minutes from the ground. And we went over the bridge where I worked. Just to the left, I was in a joiner's shop. And I'm looking down and I'm thinking, God, 5 years ago, I was in there wondering what the hell life was going to, throw up at me. I'm going to work all my life as a joiner or what? I was trying to be a footballer. But the reality was, I was playing for Crusaders Reserves. And I was going watching the national team. And there I was, sat on the bus with all the Arsenal players, Man United, all first division players then. And I was like, Bury, third division. If being honest, nobody actually probably knew of me anyway. I'd just come from nowhere. And the one thing that really, the memory that I take is that obviously all my family were there, but walking onto the pitch and hearing the fans shout your name and all, and one of them shouted out, come on, Snowball. And of course, that was my nickname at school. And I obviously knew he went to Dunlambert, and it was just fantastic, and I'm not telling you what I also shouted, kick the but then that was another thing, But yeah, and to play the game I played, because I was up against a lad called Katalinski, who was 6'6" or something like that. I just kept going up. It didn't even faze me, even though he was one of the top players in Europe and Yugoslavia were one of the top teams in Europe. It didn't faze any of us because we were going out there with the fire was in our belly. I never stopped running for 90 minutes. And by God, I could run, And I knew he couldn't catch me. He couldn't. And every time he got the ball and thought he could, he's a big lad, thought he could just have a bit of time, bang, I was on him like a rocket. Not only me, Sammy McElroy we did most of the foraging up front. And we absolutely tore them to shreds. We should have beat them. We should have won by 3 or 4. I had a goal disallowed. I took the ball and hit it first time right into the corner. Fractionally offside. Gutted, absolutely gutted. But we won 1-0. Brian Hamilton scored. And we made history, Morris. And when you're making history, you don't appreciate it. It's only when you look back.
Yeah, it's a memory.
You really appreciate that. And I have a tear in my eye when I read them newspapers. And I've got them all in my shed in a plastic container. And people remember it, just like you talked about the goal against Barnsley, It's lovely. It's a lovely feeling. Very a lucky man.
When you had your spell at Blackpool, you then went out to Olympiacos in Greece.
Yeah.
And you only played about 21 games for them, I think?
Yeah, but let me tell you, Olympiacos played 21 league games. There's not many in the league, right? They might only play a few games. They play 500 friendlies. They just play friendlies everywhere, all over the country. We're playing friendlies. They don't play many games. I mean, unfortunately, I missed I may have missed a good 6 weeks with a really bad ligament injury before the season started. And again, it was in a friendly. How can you play a friendly against your local rivals, AEK Athens, in Karaiskaki Stadium, Olympiacos Stadium, 40-odd thousand there? It was never a friendly. The lad nearly killed me. I'm lucky I survived. 2 feet, took my knee. My knee went that way, and I got up and played on. I swear to God, today there'd be paramedics, there'd be everything. I got up and tried to run, and I lasted about 2 minutes. Unbelievable.
So when you came back, you signed for Southend, where you had quite a bit of success. How did that move come about?
Well, actually, I'll tell you now, Morris, right? When I came back to Blackpool from Olympiacos.
Yes, sorry, yes, you did.
Yeah, that's right. And Blackpool bought me back. They sold me for what they thought was 100 grand. No, tell a lie. They got 50 grand, right, in cash. The guy who sold me to Olympiacos, the little agent, we didn't know about agents in them days. He did the deal for both the club and Olympiacos, and he got himself a nice little earner. He sold me for 100 grand. I found out this a year later. So wee bits of skullduggery going on. But from my point of view, I wanted to go and play abroad. I wanted to go and ply my trade somewhere else. And what they offered me, Greek football, everybody would laugh at it. What they offered me was unbelievable. Great terms. Best sort of financial package I ever had in football. So I had to take that opportunity. And I would have stayed in Greece. But the problem was in them days, there was no communication. There was only you got a telegram, if you were playing for Northern Ireland and stuff. And Northern Ireland sent me a telegram. I was picked to play against Holland, or not to play, in the squad against Holland at Windsor Park, the return game. They sent it to Panathinaikos. So I never got it. We never got it. We got it about 2 weeks after the game was over. So you were in the wilderness, mate. You were in the wilderness. So what do? Do you stay there for the money? And the football is as bent as a name Bob note, right? So there's a lot of skullduggery going on. There's no protection from you when you play away from home, because they used to tackle me up around about the top of my bum. So let me tell you, I probably would have been finished within a couple of years, because they were not very nice to you when you went away from home. When you played at home, they were frightened to death. They were frightened to death. And I used to get away with murder. I used to give it. That's when I used to give a wee bit back to them, So all in all, yes, I could have stuck it out a couple of years, but I was very fortunate that my wife, we were trying for our first child, and she fell pregnant while we were there. So we always said that we would come home and the baby would be born in England, and that's what happened. That made the decision very easy. And much as sometimes I regret not staying another year, I got back into the Northern Ireland team against the Republic of Ireland at Lansdowne Road. It doesn't get much better than that, really, playing in that game too.
And so you moved from Blackpool down to Southend.
Yeah, well, the funny thing with that, Morris, was I did a season at Blackpool and I ended up leading goal scorer and player of the year. And we're in the third division, which probably suited me quite well. But I came back from Greece with an awful lot of confidence. And I was on fire. I scored a lot of good goals and I worked my socks off, and I was a better player. Without a doubt, it was better for being in Greece. The following season, I got done by a guy who played for Grimsby. He had 2-footed tackle in the first 10 minutes and he hit me above the knee, 2 feet, and I was stretchered off. I'd done all my ligaments. I'm very, very lucky to still actually to be able to play again. But I did recover from it. But when I recovered, Blackpool put me straight back into the team. Honestly, it takes a wee while to get going again, And I wasn't playing particularly well, but the team wasn't playing particularly well. I'd had a great season the season before, and I couldn't understand why Stan Ternent called me in and said, Southend United want to buy you. I said, all right. He said, and we're quite prepared to let you go because we want Colin Morris, £100,000 deal. I said, well, I don't really want to go to Southend. I've got a lovely house in Hambleton. I said, I'm just getting back to fitness. He went, well, if you don't go, you'll be sat on the bench freezing your arse for the rest of the year. But not looking back, I know why. They had Dave Bamber coming through, and they had Paul Stewart coming through.
Two good players.
I didn't realise that at the time. It's only when you look back and you say, well, yeah, they wanted to cash in me, right? Because obviously Dave Smith liked me. They needed a striker. And Colin Morris was a very good winger. So you can see why. But I was a bit hurt by the fact that Blackpool actually let me go. But you know what? I went down there. We were bottom of the league and we missed out on the last day of the season. We lost at Hull City 1-0, and we had about 75% of the game, and a little lad scored a winner. And we went down on the last day of the season. right? The following season was to be a record-breaking season for Southend United. We won the championship at a canter. We never lost at home any league games. It was unbelievable to play in, and I won the only medal I ever won in British football, a championship medal, and great memories. Got Player of the Year. This was 1982, 81, and I got Player of the Year and leading goal scorer. So I was doing something right, and the same thing happened again the following season. Injured again, sold. That's football in the lower leagues. If you were injured, you weren't you weren't in the team. They didn't.
Not a good atmosphere to be a part of.
No, well, you know you're going to go then. You're just going to go, well, that's it.
So
that's a striker's role, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So from Southend, you moved back up to the northwest.
Yes. I finished off at Bury.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, but I didn't come from Southend. I came from a very far away place called Hong Kong.
I was skipping to that part because some of the stories that I've heard you tell about your time in Hong Kong.
Oh my God. With the one and only.
For a family audience.
No. From the one and only George Best. Imagine that was the icing on the cake. Going to Hong Kong was, there was a couple of things that had happened in my life. One of them was Billy Bingham leaving me out of the World Cup in 82. The reality was that played a big part in leaving Southend and having a new start. And when an Irish guy called Robin Park rang me up from Hong Kong, he was an Irish from Northern Ireland, and offered me terms to play for Hong Kong Rangers. I thought, bloody hell, this'll do, you know. And I went and I really enjoyed it. And then for George Best to come and join us for a month, it was unbelievable. So I spent a whole month in George Best's company. How wonderful is that, eh?
I think exciting and scary in equal measure.
Well, here's one, Morris. Everybody would think you'd be on the pop, wouldn't you? No. The first time he came, and actually he came to Hong Kong on 2 occasions. He played for another team and then he played for us. But when he came with us for that month, he didn't have a drink, not one alcoholic drink. He had that implant.
Oh, right, yeah. I remember
so that was stopping him drinking. So he was very sociable, and we'd go out and we'd have... we would all be drinking, and he wouldn't have any, a cup of tea or something, you know. And there was never any problem with drink, so he was always there. He had more of a problem with the women. We couldn't get him out of bed in the morning, Morris. We couldn't get him out of bed.
I've got George's book here. I've got your book here, of course. And yes. If you, any of the people that are watching this, if you haven't read From the Troubles to the Tower by Derek Spence, you need to get hold of a copy because it's absolutely superb. It's a, I mean, my better half isn't. She likes football, but not to the depths that I do. But she thoroughly enjoyed the book.
Well, I'll tell you what's great. Well, listen, thanks very much, Morris, for them kind words. Yeah. But that book is a credit not just to me. People have said to me, "Oh, it's a credit." It wasn't me that wrote it. I dictated it, but the guy who helped me, you know, he was very, very good, and I owe him a lot. Paul Cambridge, I owe him a lot because if I'm being truthful, I paid a guy to do it, and I didn't like. You know, when you're reading it, you think, well, that's not for me. I wouldn't go with that. Paul took over, and let me tell you, it was a different read, and it was brilliant, and I knew, you know, and I got the icing on the cake when the Oystons got kicked out of Bloomfield Road.
I'm sure that must have been a horrible time to be working at Blackpool.
Well, Morris, I didn't think, you've known me quite a long time. You know me. I've never been miserable. I've always been happy. Yeah. And I've never ever thought that I ever had any problems with mental health or depression or anxiety or anything like that. I've always been, well, no, the last 5 years, because I've been in football 5 decades now, so it's 50 years. And the last 5 years at Bloomfield Road, under the old regime, really took its toll. It really took its toll. And once I made the decision to leave, which was the wrong decision because I wasn't thinking right. And then eventually, after leaving at 65 and walking away from the club, I realized I better go and see somebody about how I felt. My anxiety and my depression was really, really bad. And it's taken me 3 years to get to be able to sit here and talk and be happy and not have any care in the world anymore. It took me 3 years, because I always give this impression of being happy-go-lucky, never have a care in the world. No, I was a different person. I could put that on at times, but deep down, and the good news is I was signed off from a council. I used to go and see this lady. She was a fantastic counsellor. And she said, I'm signing you off, you're fine now, no problem at all. It was a wonderful experience just to be able to go and talk to somebody. You might only go, I don't know, once every 3 months, doesn't matter, whenever you felt a bit low. One of the problems I had too, which I wouldn't wish on anybody, was I get migraines, terrible migraines. And they were one of the factors for having a depression. I was getting like 8 migraines in a bloody week, my head, and I get flashing lights and I'd have to go and it just come on like that, awful. I still got medication, but I think I've got to the root of the trouble. I haven't had one, touch wood, for a long time. I've changed my diet. I've looked at all sorts of things. The answer's not in the tablets, I can tell you that now, the answer's look at your health and your well-being and get rid of all that stress in your life, which I've done, and I feel so much better for it. So yeah, I'm pretty good, in a good place now.
That's fantastic news, Derek. Now, obviously, you always come across as this happy-go-lucky chap. I think it's as we would say back home, you'll always be up for the crack.
Oh, I am.
Out of all of the memories you have in football, you must have got some great stories about the lads that you played with at Bury.
And Bury was fantastic. That was the one thing about Bury that was brilliant. To meet players of some of the ones I already mentioned, the Peter Swans, the Jimmy Nicholsons, George Heslop. George Heslop came to Bury, and I was looking at him thinking, he used to be bald. He had no hair. But there was this guy with a fantastic mop of blonde hair. And it took me over a year to sort of plumb the courage to say, George, is that a wig? And he was in that business. He had it woven into his head. It was wonderful. Do you want to know what it looked like?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, have you got a picture?
Because you can see me now, can't you?
Yeah.
Bald as a badger. This is how George looked. Just let me go away for a minute.
Oh, okay.
And let me tell you, that's a wee bit the way I used to look.
Yes.
That was George Heslop. By the way, he had it all nicely permed and everything, and all down and all matted. Is that me from the 70s?
Yeah, that's you, circa 1974.
Hey, I wish I had it today. Hey, oh dear, you're gonna laugh.
I still have the famous picture that was in the Bury Times, in the Northern Ireland kit in front of the main stand.
Yes.
It was up in Legends. I sponsored the photographing thing, and that's one of my favourite photographs of any Bury player ever.
Bloody brilliant. Well, here, listen, that wig, the reason I bought that wig was to help Southend United. They've got a former players association, and he said to me, would I put the wig on, because they have a picture of me with a perm, believe it or not, and the medal, 4th Division medal, and obviously blonde hair. And I've sent them a few pictures of me with a replica shirt, because they're selling the replica shirt. So anybody thinks I just wear a wig now and again, no, I don't. But it's good fun, isn't it? Hey, I might have to use that sometime again.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Back in a Bury shirt and at the Legends game before the start of this
Yes.
season. How much did you enjoy taking part in that?
Well, when the lads from Bury rang me up, yourself included, and they said, would you like to come down? You know, for me, it's all about getting on the pitch. Even at 67 then, right? I'm 68 now. 67. I just want to be on the pitch. I still think I can run around. I can't. I know I don't. I do walking football, and I'm okay on walking football, but it was wonderful. Let me tell you, I only had 10 minutes or whatever, but it nearly killed me. But it was wonderful to be on the pitch and see Bury fans all around the ground and to be part of something. You know, you feel more part of it if you're involved. Standing in the crowd is not me, really. You know, I like to be involved, you know. And I have to say, it was a fantastic day. Absolute fantastic. Well organized. Everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, I couldn't. It's great. A great memory. You know, a great memory.
Yeah. And have you been following the Bury AFC?
Well, I ring John Cronshaw out, and he tells me all the scores and that. And of course, obviously, they're not playing at the moment. And I was going to go to Garstang to watch them the night before, because my brother lives over that way. And then my daughter said, "Oh, you can't. It's a Wednesday night." She said she's going doing horse riding in Myerscough College, and I had to drive the trailer with the horse in. So that kiboshed that, really. But I can't wait to get down to Radcliffe and watch a few games. And you know, for myself personally, your well-being and all this, we talk about mental health issues and all. Football is a fantastic thing when you're meeting yourself, having a pint of Guinness, watching the match, have a pie. You know, that's what it's all about for me. It's not just the match. It's about the before the game. It's the after the game, you know, and that's what I miss. I have lost my enthusiasm for football on the TV because it's absolutely boring, right? I don't like it at all. There's no atmosphere. Without the fans, there's no football for me. And I'll be back when it's live football again. And I'll start watching Match of the Day again when they have the crowd in the background. You know, let's be fair. Yeah, well, I hope I haven't made a mistake or two along the line there. I think I've been quite good, you know. Had to bite my tongue a few times. But no, we've had a good laugh, and I thoroughly enjoy talking to you, you know that, and that's what I'm all about. From boyhood hero to personal friend, Derek. Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you. You're a bloody star, mate. Ta-ra, lad. Cheers.